There is one skill that would have saved you from most of the pain you've experienced in relationships. The ability to truly see people. The misunderstandings, the disappointments, the draining conversations, the betrayal you never saw coming. None of it was random. It happened because you were taught to listen to words, but not to read the body that speaks them. You were taught to hear what people claim, but not to feel the energy they carry into the room before they say a single sentence. Every person broadcasts signals in how they walk, sit, breathe, look, hesitate, tense up, soften, or avoid. Nothing is accidental. You simply haven't been trained to recognize the truth in front of you. This audiobook is that training. You will learn to watch what others miss, to hear what isn't said, to sense emotional shifts in posture, tone, timing, and microexpressions. You'll learn to think clearer, see sharper, and respond from calm authority instead of confusion. When you slow down and become fully present, people reveal themselves. Your intuition, the quiet intelligence beneath your thoughts, begins to speak. Your nervous system starts picking up the vibe, the emotional field every human carries. This isn't fantasy, it's pattern recognition, it's biology, it's awareness. And as you learn to read others, you will also start reading yourself, noticing your own defensive postures, your own emotional signals, your own unspoken reactions. You become grounded, steady, clear. From now on, every interaction becomes training. Every room becomes a classroom. You rise not by talking louder, but by seeing deeper. You are about to sharpen the lens through which you see people, and once it becomes clear, you will never see human behavior the same way again. If you're ready to rise above the noise, like the video, it tells YouTube you're choosing awareness over autopilot. Subscribe now, and don't miss the next chapter in your evolution. And remember, the deepest transformation belongs to those who stay until the very end. Chapter 1. Pay attention to how people move and sit. If you want to learn how to read people and respond like a pro, you must start with the most fundamental doorway into human behavior: movement. Before a person speaks, before they think about what they want to say, their body is already revealing everything. Every shift, every posture, every angle of their shoulders is a message. The body speaks long before the mouth does. Most people miss these messages because their attention is scattered. They are too focused on what they want to say next, too wrapped in their own inner noise to notice the truth happening right in front of them. But when you decide to sharpen your awareness, when you slow down enough to truly watch, you begin to see an entire world that was invisible before. A person's walk alone can tell you more than a 5-minute conversation. Notice how someone enters a room. Do they move quickly, with tension in their shoulders and a tight jaw? That can signal stress, anxiety, urgency, or an overactive mind trying to stay ahead of something. Do they walk slowly, grounded, with steady breathing? That often reflects confidence, emotional stability, or a mind that isn't rushing to catch up with itself. Movement is the language of the nervous system. When the nervous system is unsettled, the body cannot hide it. This isn't magic. This is biology and presence. Your brain is equipped with mirror neurons that naturally scan posture, tension, and motion. Your intuition is simply that deeper intelligence interpreting the data your conscious mind is too distracted to process. When you train yourself to observe calmly, your perception becomes sharper. You start noticing what others ignore. The little shifts in weight, the tightening of hands, the slight hesitation before stepping forward. When someone sits down, the truth continues. The way someone takes a seat reveals how much comfort or discomfort they feel in their own skin. A person who leans back with crossed arms may be relaxed, or they may be guarded, protecting their chest, the most vulnerable part of the body. You don't jump to conclusions. You observe deeper. Look at the face. Is it soft or strained? Are their eyes grounded on you or drifting around, searching for escape? The combination of cues always tells the story. Someone who sits upright, leaning slightly forward, hands relaxed or resting on their lap, is engaged. Their nervous system is alert but open. They want to be part of the moment. They're present. That kind of posture has a specific energy, attentive, aware, ready. You feel it in the room. Reading people is not about judgment. It's about quiet observation, rooted in presence. You slow yourself down so you can actually see what's real. Most people talk too fast and react too quickly, missing everything that matters. But when you choose to be still inside, when your thoughts stop running ahead of you, your awareness becomes like a clear mirror. People reveal themselves effortlessly in that mirror. Think about the last time you truly looked at someone while they spoke. Not the polite, half-focused nod. Not the distracted listening while planning your reply. Truly looked. You would have noticed the moment their breath changed, the instant they tensed, the shift in their seat when a topic touched something sensitive. These micro-movements are emotional signatures. They are not random. They are signals from the deeper layers of the mind. And the more present you are, the more signals you catch. When someone fidgets, adjusts their shirt, plays with their fingers, taps their foot, their body is releasing nervous energy. When someone suddenly becomes still, too still, that stillness is not calmness. It is suppression. It is the body holding something inside. The energy changes when someone shuts down emotionally, and if you are paying attention, you will feel it instantly. This skill is not reserved for experts. Anyone can train it. The next time you talk to someone, let your eyes soften. Don't stare. Don't evaluate. Simply observe. Watch how their shoulders move when they inhale. Watch how their body reacts when you speak. Do they lean in with interest or pull away with caution? Do they open their chest or shield it? Do they point their feet toward you, a sign of openness, or away from you, signaling withdrawal? These are not trivial details. They are emotional feedback. Your brain reads this feedback instinctively, but you must learn to consciously interpret it. When you do, you respond with more accuracy, more wisdom, more power. And something else happens. As you learn to read others, you begin to notice yourself. You'll catch the moments when you shrink into your shoulders, when your arms cross defensively, when your own posture tightens because you're uncomfortable. This is self-awareness being activated. You are not just reading people. You are leading yourself. People can sense when someone truly sees them. It builds trust. It opens doors. It creates connection without needing extra words. A person who feels seen relaxes. They drop the performance. They stop pretending. They start showing you who they really are. And the world opens differently when you meet people from this kind of clarity. Master this one habit. Pay close attention to how people move and sit. And your entire understanding of human behavior will change. What once felt confusing will become obvious. What once surprised you will become predictable. What once drained you will become easy to navigate. You will see the truth, not because people tell you, but because their body already has. Chapter 2. Watch people's eyes to see what they feel. If you want to understand people on a deeper level, you must learn to watch their eyes. The human eye is the one place where truth leaks through, even when someone tries to hide it. People can adjust their tone, manipulate their words, control their posture, force a smile. But the eyes reveal what the rest of the body tries to conceal. They are the window into emotional truth, and once you learn to read them, you'll never miss what someone is really feeling again. Most people look everywhere except the eyes. They get distracted by expression, clothes, style, or confidence. They hear what someone says, but never look closely at how the eyes shift while those words are spoken. Because of this, they miss everything. The sadness behind a polite smile, the frustration behind a calm tone, the fear that flashes for a second before someone changes the topic. But once you become someone who pays close attention, these signals become obvious. When you talk to someone, watch how their eyes behave as they speak. Do they light up when they talk about something they love? Do they go dull or unfocused when you hit a sensitive subject? Do they look away when they're uncomfortable or hold your gaze with steady attention? Are they scanning the room as if searching for a way out, or are they fully present with you? These small details reveal the emotion beneath the conversation. This isn't about staring, it's about connection. The kind of natural, grounded eye contact that shows presence and attentiveness. When you look into someone's eyes with calm attention, you make them feel seen. You make them feel safe. People open up more when they sense that your presence is honest and your attention is real. Most people in this world feel unseen, unheard, and overlooked. When you give them your full presence, even for a moment, they open doors they keep locked around everyone else. Words are chosen, but feelings are shown. Someone can say, "I'm fine," but their eyes may soften, drop, or blink too fast, revealing tension or sadness they're not ready to speak about. Someone can say they're happy, but their eyes may not match the tone. Someone can act confident, but their eyes may flicker with insecurity. Once you learn to catch these signs, you understand people without needing them to explain anything. Sometimes you'll notice quiet pain, not dramatic, not obvious, the kind that lives in tiny movements. Eyes dropping when you ask a personal question. Rapid blinking when a subject hits too close to home. A forced brightness that doesn't match the moment. When you see this, you don't push. You don't demand answers. You simply respond with calmness and respect, giving the person the space they need. You don't need to fix anything. You just need to notice. In leadership, this matters. In relationships, it matters even more. In every conversation, the eyes tell you whether someone feels safe, uncertain, open, guarded, proud, ashamed, or disconnected. When you observe with presence, you shift the tone of the entire interaction. You don't react blindly. You respond with accuracy. You don't need long conversations to understand someone. Sometimes a single glance holds more truth than a paragraph. A flash of irritation before someone forces a smile. A moment of admiration before they look away. A quick tightening of the eyes before they change the subject. These signals happen fast, and they happen before the brain has time to disguise them. Some people avoid eye contact because they're hiding something. Others avoid it because they are sensitive, hurt, or afraid of being seen too clearly. You won't always know which one it is immediately, but if you stay patient, they will show you more. Everyone eventually reveals their truth when they feel safe enough. Watching people's eyes also teaches you about yourself. When you start noticing the truth in others, you begin noticing the truth in your own emotions too. You realize when you avoid someone's gaze because you're uncomfortable. You catch when your eyes tighten because something bothered you. You become more honest with what you feel, even before you say it out loud. The more you understand people, the more patient you become. You stop judging quickly because you can see how much people are carrying. You recognize how much is unsaid. You stop assuming. You stop labeling. You start seeing people as human beings, not surface impressions. Reading eyes is a skill you strengthen every time you interact with someone. It won't make you perfect, but it will make you aware. And awareness is what creates wisdom. When you can feel someone's truth before they express it, you respond with clarity, strength, and calmness. And in a world full of noise, that clarity becomes a powerful advantage. So slow down. Be present. Look into people's eyes when they speak. Don't rush. Don't assume. Just observe. Let their emotion show itself. Respond with care. Do this consistently, and your presence alone will make people calm, open, and honest. That is how you lead. That is how you connect. That is how you change lives. Starting with your own. Chapter 3. Ask simple questions and really listen to the answer. If you want to build stronger connections, understand people deeply, and respond with clarity, you must learn the power of asking simple questions and giving your full attention to the answers. Most people think great communication comes from saying the right things. But the truth is the opposite. Communication becomes powerful when you stop talking so much and start listening with intention. People move through conversations with the goal of being heard. They want to explain, to express, to prove something. But if your goal is to understand people and respond wisely, you need to reverse that. You must shift your focus from speaking to listening, from performing to observing, from trying to be interesting to being genuinely interested. Simple questions open doors, not complex, scripted, or dramatic questions, just honest ones. How have you been feeling lately? What's been on your mind? What's been challenging you recently? What's been going well for you? These questions are powerful, not because they are deep, but because they are real. They give people a chance to reveal what's inside them without pressure. When you ask sincerely, people feel it. When you actually mean the question, they know. But here's where most people fail. They ask questions, then wait to talk again. They nod, smile, pretend to listen. But internally, they're planning their next sentence. They're waiting for their turn. That isn't listening. That's performing patience. Real listening is different. Real listening is when your attention is fully on the other person. Their words, their tone, their pauses, their energy. When you're not thinking about what to say next. When you're not judging. When you're not trying to interrupt. Real listening is presence, and presence is rare. When someone speaks and senses your full presence, they begin revealing things they've never told anyone. Listening is more than hearing words. It is noticing how those words are spoken. Does their voice soften when they mention something? Does it tighten? Do they hesitate before answering? Do they downplay something that clearly means a lot to them? These moments tell you more than the words themselves. When someone answers your question, pay attention to their eyes. Pay attention to their timing. Pay attention to the weight in their voice. Is there excitement? Is there concern? Is there sadness that they're trying to hide with a smile? These signals teach you what the person is truly feeling. Most people never notice any of this because they are too self-focused. But when you choose to listen deeply, you understand people in ways they can't even articulate. People open up when they feel heard, not judged, not rushed, not corrected. You don't need to impress them with knowledge. You don't need to give perfect advice. You only need to create space. When they pause, don't jump in to fill the silence. Let the silence breathe. Silence reveals truth. Silence gives people room to reach deeper inside themselves. Most people in this world have never been listened to properly. They've been interrupted, ignored, talked over, dismissed. When you become the person who truly listens, you stand out. You become rare. People trust you. They respect you. They come to you when things matter because they feel safe in your presence. This skill also teaches you about yourself. When you stop rushing to speak, you notice how often your ego tries to prove something. You notice how uncomfortable silence feels at first. You notice how much you want validation. Listening deeply forces you to quiet the noise inside you. And in that quiet, your awareness sharpens. When you practice this consistently, you begin noticing patterns in people. You hear what truly matters to them, what scares them, what motivates them. You learn what they value. You see where they struggle. And because you understand them at a deeper level, your responses become more accurate and more powerful. You don't respond from assumption. You respond from understanding. In any room, the person who listens the most has the most influence. Why? Because people trust them. Because people feel safe around them. Because people know they're not being rushed or judged. Listening is not weakness. It is emotional intelligence in action. The conversations that change lives are rarely the ones filled with long speeches. They are the ones where someone asked a real question, then stayed silent long enough for the truth to come out. That's what people remember. Not the fancy words, but the feeling of being heard. Listening deeply also brings peace to your own mind. You stop needing to dominate conversations. You stop needing to prove your point. You stop needing to be right. You begin enjoying the simple act of letting someone share their world with you. That kind of inner calm changes how you handle every relationship. So start small. The next time you speak with someone, ask something genuine. Then listen. Really listen. Don't rush. Don't interrupt. Don't mentally prepare your response. Just be there. Let the moment unfold. Let the truth come naturally. You won't always agree with what you hear. That's fine. Listening doesn't mean approving. It means respecting. It means valuing their perspective enough to let them express it fully. People will remember how you made them feel. If you want strong relationships, strong connections, and real influence, master this. Ask real questions, then listen with presence. That is the foundation of every powerful interaction. That is how you grow. That is how you connect. That is how you lead. Chapter 4. Notice what someone avoids when they talk to you. If you want to understand people on a deeper level, you can't just pay attention to what they say. You must pay attention to what they avoid. What a person chooses not to talk about often reveals far more than what they freely share. Silence, skipped details, sudden topic changes. These are signals. They show you where someone feels vulnerable, uncertain, ashamed, or protective. Avoidance is powerful information. When someone avoids a topic, they are telling you that the subject carries weight. Maybe it brings up pain. Maybe it triggers insecurity. Maybe it exposes failure. Maybe it touches a boundary they're not ready to open. When you notice avoidance, you don't confront. You don't push. You simply observe it as a clue to what's happening beneath the surface. People avoid things for many reasons. Some avoid because they're afraid of judgment. Some avoid because they haven't healed. Some avoid because they don't trust you yet. Some avoid because they fear saying the wrong thing. Instead of going into specifics, they stay vague. They talk in general terms. They give short answers, where something deeper obviously exists. If you're paying attention, you'll feel the shift. Notice the moment the flow of their words breaks. Notice the hesitation before they respond. Notice when their tone suddenly becomes lighter or joking, as if they're trying to soften something that feels heavy. Notice when they change the subject too quickly. When someone does this, they are not being dishonest. They are protecting themselves. This awareness doesn't come from suspicion. It comes from presence. You learn to feel the emotional energy behind conversations. When you're focused, when you're really listening, you will catch these subtle signals instantly. The pause, the small breath in, the quick glance away. Those seconds tell you everything. Some people are experts at hiding their struggles. They've spent years acting strong, pretending to be fine, avoiding anything that might expose their vulnerability. But even experts have cracks in the mask. If you slow down, you'll see the moment their eyes drop. You'll hear the slight tightness in their voice. You'll sense the shift in their energy when a subject hits too close to home. That is where their truth lives. You're not meant to force it. You're not meant to dig into their pain. Your role is to notice. Your role is to respect their pace. When someone avoids something, it tells you which topics require gentleness. It tells you when to give patience instead of pressure. It tells you when silence is more powerful than questions. When the time is right, when trust has been built, they may open up about the very thing they avoided. And if you've been paying attention from the beginning, you'll already understand the weight of what they're sharing. You won't be caught off guard. You'll be steady enough to hold space for them. Avoidance also reveals someone's emotional boundaries. It shows you what they're willing to share and what they're not ready for. Respecting those boundaries builds trust more than any clever words ever could. When you don't push someone past their limit, they feel safe around you. And people open up naturally when they feel safe. Notice also that avoidance is not always about pain. Sometimes people avoid talking about their dreams and goals because they're afraid. They fear failure. They fear being judged. They fear sounding unrealistic. So they downplay their ambitions. They keep things vague. They say maybe instead of yes. They hide their excitement behind small, quiet words. If you catch this, you have the chance to encourage them. You can support them gently, without pressure, without exaggeration, simply by acknowledging what they didn't say out loud. Sometimes all someone needs is someone who sees what they're afraid to reveal. This skill applies to your own communication too. Notice what you avoid. Notice the topics you rush past or cover with humor. Notice what makes you uncomfortable. Your own avoidance reveals where your healing, growth, or truth is waiting. The more honest you become with yourself, the easier it becomes to understand others. Avoidance shows up everywhere. In friendships, relationships, workplace conversations, even casual chats. Someone will talk confidently, then skip a detail that matters. Someone will answer every question, except the one that touches a sensitive spot. Someone will respond too quickly, as if rehearsed. Someone will suddenly over-explain something simple. These are not random. These are signals, and your strength comes from noticing without judging. You don't turn the moment into pressure. You don't expose them. You don't make them uncomfortable. You simply observe, stay steady, and respond with presence. That is what separates someone who truly understands people from someone who only listens to words. Awareness is not about control. It's about compassion. It's about recognizing the quiet parts of someone's story, the skipped sentences, the half-told truths, the subjects that make their voice shift. When you learn to notice these moments, you understand people on a level most never reach. So watch the pauses. Watch the silence. Watch the things left unsaid. People reveal just as much in their avoidance as they do in their expression. And when you learn to read both, you respond like someone who sees clearly, listens deeply, and leads with quiet strength. Chapter 5. Stay calm so you can read people clearly. If you want to understand people with accuracy, the first thing you must learn is how to stay calm. A calm mind sees everything. A chaotic mind sees nothing. When your emotions are loud, when your thoughts are racing, when you're caught in your own reactions, you cannot read anyone. You miss the signs. You overlook the small shifts. You interpret everything through your own tension instead of what's actually happening. Calm is your advantage. Calm is the state that gives you clarity. Calm gives you the space to observe instead of react, to respond instead of defend, to understand instead of assume. Most people don't realize how much their own internal noise blocks them from seeing the truth in others. They get irritated, defensive, impatient, excited, or triggered, and instantly their perception becomes distorted. They stop paying attention to the other person and start drowning in their own reactions. When you train yourself to stay calm, especially in moments of stress, conflict, or uncertainty, you gain an edge. You can hear what's underneath someone's words. You can see the expression that flickers across their face. You can sense the emotional atmosphere they're carrying. You can catch the truth before it gets buried under performance. Calm sharpens your awareness like nothing else. Being calm doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean staying silent when you need to speak. It doesn't mean avoiding confrontation. Calm means you are in control of your internal world. You are not letting someone else's tone, mood, or behavior hijack your mind. You stay centered. You stay steady. You stay present. You listen without rushing to defend yourself. You observe without trying to win. You're grounded enough to let the other person reveal who they are while you remain balanced. People feel the difference. Calm is something you cannot fake. When your energy is steady, people relax around you. The conversation becomes clearer. The truth surfaces more easily. People stop performing. They stop bracing themselves. They open up. Your calm becomes the anchor that holds the interaction in place. To build this calm, you practice in everyday moments. When someone talks to you in a tone you don't like, pause before reacting. When you feel the urge to interrupt, breathe instead. When a conversation feels tense, don't rush to fill the silence. When someone misunderstands you, don't explode out of frustration. These small habits strengthen your emotional grip. They teach your nervous system that it doesn't need to panic, fight, or defend at every slight discomfort. The calmer you become, the more clearly you see people. You catch the expression that appears for half a second. You hear the insecurity hiding beneath confidence. You sense the irritation behind polite words. You notice when someone is avoiding, when someone is lying, when someone is unsure, when someone is hiding pain. You pick these signals up not because you're trying to analyze them, but because calmness gives you enough space to notice them. People reveal their truth under pressure. When things get uncomfortable, people show who they really are. If you're calm during those moments, you see everything. You see the shift in their eyes. You hear the tension in their voice. You notice when they speak too fast. You feel when they pull their energy back. Most people miss these signs because their own reactions drown out the moment. But when you remain steady, you catch the truth instantly. Calm becomes a part of your identity. It becomes your default nature. The more you practice it, the more powerful it becomes. People start treating you with more respect because your energy demands it. They open up because they sense that you can handle the truth. They stop playing games because they know you're not easily thrown off balance. Your calmness sets the tone for the entire interaction. When you're calm, you ask better questions. You listen longer. You wait for the full answer. You don't rush people. You don't talk over them. You don't let emotions override clarity. You allow the conversation to unfold naturally, and in that unfolding, people reveal what they normally hide. Staying calm also improves your decision-making. You think more clearly. You don't react out of insecurity or ego. You choose responses that actually fit the situation instead of letting emotion make the choice for you. You move through difficult conversations with precision instead of force, and you come out of them with stronger relationships, not damaged ones. There will always be moments that test your calm. Someone will say something unfair. Someone will misunderstand you. Someone will be emotional. Someone will try to provoke you. In these moments, your power is in choosing not to match their intensity. Your power is in staying centered while they spin. Your power is in responding from clarity, not reaction. A stormy mind cannot see clearly, but a calm mind sees everything. Calm lets you read tone, energy, intention, and emotion with accuracy. It helps you understand people in ways they don't even understand themselves. It allows you to navigate difficult moments without losing yourself. So, stay calm. Train it daily. Practice it in small interactions. Build it in quiet moments so it becomes strong in intense ones. When you master calmness, you master clarity. When you master clarity, you master communication. And when you master communication, you move through the world with a level of influence that others can feel the moment you enter the room. Calm is not weakness. Calm is wisdom. Calm is strength. And calm is your greatest tool in learning to read people clearly. Chapter 6. Speak less and study how others react to you. If you want to understand people on a deeper level, you must learn to speak less and observe more. Most people talk so much that they never see what's happening around them. They fill every quiet moment with words. They rush to explain, defend, impress, or prove. But when you are always speaking, you're not learning. When your voice dominates the space, you miss the reactions that reveal the truth. The real insight comes when you pause, when you let your words settle, when you allow silence to make room for someone's genuine response. People show you who they are not in what they say, but in how they react to what you say. A person's reaction is the rawest, most unfiltered expression of their internal world. If you talk too much, you'll miss it. Speak, then stop. Watch what happens. Does their body relax or tense? Do they lean in or pull back? Do their eyes soften or harden? Do they smile genuinely or out of discomfort? Do they go quiet because they're thinking or because they're uncertain? Every reaction is information. Every shift is a signal, but you can only catch these signals if you're not rushing to fill the silence. When you give people space to respond naturally, their true feelings come forward. Someone who's comfortable will stay open. Someone who's hiding something will avoid your eyes. Someone who disagrees will shift their posture. Someone who feels encouraged will brighten. Someone who feels threatened will shrink or become defensive. These small reactions tell you more than their words ever could. This is why speaking less makes you powerful. It gives you time to observe. It gives others space to reveal themselves. It allows you to gather emotional data without effort. Most people feel pressured to talk constantly, but silence is where truth lives. Silence is where insight grows. If you're always explaining, you will never understand. If you're always performing, you can't perceive. If you're always filling the moment, you can't feel the moment. Good communicators speak wisely. Great communicators speak sparingly. When you say something meaningful, let it breathe. Don't rush to soften it. Don't rush to justify it. Don't rush to explain further. Let your words land and observe how the other person absorbs them. Sometimes the reaction happens instantly. Sometimes it unfolds slowly. But it always shows you something important. Leaders understand this. Strong leaders don't dominate conversations. They don't overwhelm people with talking. They speak with intention, then observe. They watch how their team reacts. They notice confusion, hesitation, excitement, resistance. They read the room, not with questions, but with attention. They adjust their leadership, not based on what people say, but based on how people respond. In relationships, this skill builds trust. When you stop talking over every silence, others feel safer. They don't feel pressured. They don't feel rushed. They don't feel judged. They open up naturally. When someone senses that you are not trying to dominate the moment, they relax. Their guard comes down. Their real personality comes out. You cannot understand someone deeply if you are always filling the quiet. Speaking less also strengthens your self-control. It forces you to sit with your own ego, the part of you that wants to explain everything, justify everything, or win every moment. When you choose silence over impulsive words, you grow. You become more patient, more observant, more grounded. Silence becomes a tool for understanding yourself as much as others. Sometimes you won't like what you observe. Sometimes you'll say something with good intention, and someone will respond with coldness, irritation, or defensiveness. That's important information. Their reaction tells you about their internal landscape, not yours. Don't rush to fix their response. Don't chase approval. Don't explain yourself into exhaustion. Just observe. Let their reaction reveal who they are. This is how professionals read people. They don't guess. They don't assume. They pay attention to the evidence presented in the moment. Reactions are always more honest than words. To practice this skill, start small. In your next conversation, choose one moment to pause after speaking. Don't rush to continue. Watch what happens. Notice their face, their breathing, their posture. Notice how their energy shifts. Let the silence show you the truth. With time, you'll begin noticing patterns. You'll see who listens deeply and who only pretends. You'll spot who feels threatened by your confidence and who feels inspired. You'll detect who respects your presence and who takes advantage of your kindness. You'll understand who genuinely values you and who only values what you can give them. Speaking less doesn't make you distant. It makes you aware. It makes you intentional. It makes you someone others pay attention to. Not because you talk loudly, but because your presence carries weight. People trust those who don't rush. People respect those who don't explode. People open up to those who don't dominate. Quiet strength is unforgettable. So speak when necessary. Observe always. Let reactions guide you. Let silence reveal truth. Let awareness shape your next move. This is how you become someone who listens deeply, understands accurately, and responds like a true professional, calm, grounded, and clear. Chapter 7. Trust your gut when someone feels off or fake. Sometimes you meet someone who seems perfectly fine on the surface. They smile, they say the right words, they act polite, they appear confident, but something inside you tightens. Something feels off. You can't explain it logically. You can't point to a specific moment. You just feel it. That feeling is not random. That is your inner warning system, speaking before your mind can analyze the situation. Your gut responds to signals your conscious mind hasn't processed yet. Tone shifts, microexpressions, inconsistencies, emotional tension. Your intuition picks them up instantly. It alerts you in a language deeper than words. Most people ignore it because they want to be polite. They want to give the benefit of the doubt, or they assume they're being overly sensitive. But later, when the truth comes out, they say the same sentence every time. I knew something was wrong. The gut always speaks first. The mind always rationalizes later. If you want to become wiser with people, you must start respecting that inner signal. When something feels off, you don't argue with it. You don't bury it. You don't explain it away. You acknowledge it quietly. You step back emotionally. You give yourself space to observe before you trust. Your gut is not guessing. It is scanning patterns. It senses tension behind a smile. It feels when someone's energy doesn't match their words. It picks up dishonesty before the evidence is visible. It recognizes when someone is pretending, performing, or hiding something. A person can say they support you, but their eyes reveal distance. They can say they're happy for you, but their tone carries envy. They can act friendly, but their energy feels sharp or heavy. They can look confident, but something beneath the surface feels insincere. Your body notices the misalignment even when your mind doesn't. This is not about paranoia. It's not about assuming the worst in people. It's about allowing your intuition to participate in your decision-making instead of silencing it. Everyone has felt this. You meet someone and instantly feel drained after talking to them. You walk into a room and your mood shifts without knowing why. You listen to someone's story, but something in you doesn't buy it. You sense that someone's kindness is performative, not genuine. These moments matter. The biggest mistakes people make with relationships, friendships, or business connections come from ignoring these early signals. They force trust where their intuition sensed caution. They stay close to someone who made them uncomfortable from the beginning. They overlook the subtle signs because the person seemed nice. Nice is not the same as genuine. Polite is not the same as safe. Charming is not the same as trustworthy. Your intuition knows the difference. Sometimes someone feels off not because they're bad, but because they're hiding something. Pain, insecurity, fear, unresolved issues. Your gut picks up on the emotional inconsistency, even if it has nothing to do with you. That awareness helps you approach them with the right amount of distance or gentleness. Trusting your gut doesn't mean confronting people. It doesn't mean accusing them. It doesn't mean creating drama. It simply means you listen to the signal and adjust your boundaries. You slow down your trust. You step back enough to protect your peace. You observe longer before committing emotionally, financially, or personally. You don't override your inner truth just to avoid awkwardness. The people who cause the most harm in your life are not the ones who fooled you. They're the ones you felt wrong about from the beginning, but ignored because you didn't trust yourself. And this is the real lesson. Trusting your gut is ultimately trusting yourself. When you honor your intuition, it becomes stronger. You begin noticing patterns earlier. You detect dishonesty quicker. You pick up manipulation before it affects you. You recognize emotional inconsistency instantly. You protect your peace without needing long explanations. As you continue developing this skill, you'll start distinguishing between two sensations. Fear, which comes from past wounds, insecurity, or overthinking. Intuition, which comes from clarity, awareness, and internal stability. Fear is loud and chaotic. Intuition is quiet and grounded. Your gut doesn't yell. It nudges, it whispers, it tightens, it signals. Some people feel comfortable the moment you meet them, even if they're strangers. Their energy is steady, open, honest. Others feel draining, tense, or inconsistent, even if they smile and say all the right things. Pay attention to that difference. You don't owe closeness to anyone who makes your intuition tighten. You don't need a long list of reasons to distance yourself. Your peace of mind is reason enough. You're not being dramatic. You're not being rude. You're not being judgmental. You're being wise. Because the truth is simple. Your gut knows long before your mind understands. The more you trust it, the fewer emotional mistakes you make. You protect your energy, your time, your heart, and your future. So when someone feels off, don't argue with the feeling. Don't force connection. Don't chase clarity. Honor the signal. Step back. Observe quietly. Your intuition is trying to protect you long before your logic catches up. Chapter 8. Learn the words people use when they lie. There is a clear difference between someone who is simply unsure and someone who is being dishonest. If you want to read people with accuracy, you must learn the verbal patterns that often appear when someone isn't telling the truth. You don't confront. You don't accuse. You don't become suspicious of every sentence. You simply listen with awareness. Dishonesty has a rhythm. It has a structure. It has habits. And once you recognize those habits, you'll hear them instantly. Most people don't lie boldly. They lie subtly. They soften the truth, bend it, avoid it, hide behind vague language, or try too hard to sound sincere. Their words reveal what their intention tries to cover. One of the clearest signs of a lie is over-explaining. When someone is telling the truth, their story is simple, clean, straightforward. They say what happened. They move on. But when someone is lying, they add details no one asked for. They repeat themselves. They offer unnecessary explanations. They try to convince instead of simply communicate. Listen for phrases like, "To be honest," "I swear I'm telling the truth," "You can ask anyone," "Why would I lie?" Truth does not need reassurance. A lie often does. Another pattern is vague language. When you ask a direct question, liars rarely answer directly. Instead of giving clear answers, they use words that blur the details. "I think so." "Probably." "Maybe." "Kind of." These are safe words. They allow someone to avoid full commitment. They leave room for escape. Not everyone who says them is lying, but when a yes or no would have been enough, hesitation becomes meaningful. Liars also redirect. You ask one question, they answer another. They move away from specifics and shift your attention elsewhere. They explain context instead of the actual event. They talk about how they felt instead of what they did. They try to take you on a narrative detour, so you forget the original question. You'll hear sentences like, "Well, what you have to understand is..." It's not that simple. Let me explain why. Redirection is a classic tactic. It's used because specificity exposes lies, while vagueness protects them. Another sign is avoiding timelines. Honest people usually remember when something happened because they actually experienced it. Liars tend to keep time blurry. Sometime last week. A while ago. The other day. They avoid specific dates because specifics create cracks in the story. Also pay attention to emotional mismatch. If someone talks about something serious but sounds unusually calm, detached, or overly cheerful, it's worth noticing. If someone sounds emotional but the topic is neutral, that mismatch can also reveal that something isn't aligned. When someone says they were hurt, but they're smiling, or they say they're fine, but their voice tightens, the inconsistency is important. Real emotions and real stories line up. Lies wobble. They don't fit smoothly. Here's another common phrase liars use. I would never do that. Often it's said with too much force, too quickly, too intensely, as if trying to shut down your doubt before it begins. Real truth doesn't need dramatic declarations. Pay attention also to the length of their answers. When someone gives long, winding explanations about simple things, their story is compensating for something. When someone answers quickly but avoids the heart of your question, they're trying to control the narrative. Sometimes the truth is in what they won't say. Liars avoid speaking in first person when taking responsibility. They shift the language. It got messed up. It just happened. That's how it ended. Instead of, I messed up. I did this. I caused that. Removing I is a subtle way to avoid ownership. Your goal is not to hunt for lies. That leads to paranoia. Your goal is to listen with clarity. When you hear patterns that don't match, you don't react immediately. You gather information. You stay calm. You observe the behavior surrounding the words. You let the inconsistencies reveal themselves over time. This level of awareness protects you. You stop getting manipulated. You stop believing stories that contradict themselves. You stop trusting words that don't align with behavior. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You'll hear these signals everywhere. In apologies, excuses, explanations, promises. Not because you're trying to catch people, but because you've trained your ear to recognize when something doesn't add up. You don't have to confront every lie. Sometimes the best response is silence. Sometimes it's distance. Sometimes it's adjusting your trust level quietly. The point is, once you know what to listen for, you protect your peace without needing drama. Listen for the structure of the story, not just the story itself. Listen for the tone behind the words. Listen for the vagueness, the extra explanations, the timeline gaps, the emotional mismatch. When you can hear these patterns clearly, you move through the world with less confusion, less disappointment, and far more clarity. Chapter 9. Reply in a way that makes people feel safe. When someone opens up to you, even a little, how you respond matters more than anything you say. People don't remember every word of a conversation, but they always remember how they felt in your presence. If your response creates pressure, judgment, or distance, they close themselves off. They stop sharing. They protect themselves. But if your presence makes them feel safe, they open up. They become honest. They show you who they are. Most people don't need perfect advice. They don't need someone who knows all the answers. They need someone who listens without rushing, without correcting, without trying to control the conversation. People become real when they sense that you're not there to judge them or fix them. You're simply there to understand. When someone shares something vulnerable, pay attention to your tone. Keep it steady. Keep it warm. Keep it grounded. You don't need to match their emotion or react dramatically. You just need to hold steady while they find the words for what they feel. Your calmness helps their nervous system relax. Sometimes the safest response is simple. I hear you. That makes sense. Thanks for telling me. These short sentences carry more power than long speeches. They tell the other person they are safe to continue. They tell them you're not rushing to give advice or take control. They tell them you're listening. When someone pauses, don't interrupt. Silence after a vulnerable moment isn't awkward. It's space. Give them time. Let them breathe. Let them gather their thoughts. If they choose to speak again, they will. If they don't, your quiet presence still communicates understanding. Every human being has a quiet question underneath their words. Is it safe to be myself around you? Your reaction answers that question instantly. People test the waters. They share a small truth first. If your reaction is harsh, dismissive, sarcastic, or rushed, they stop. But if you respond with patience and steadiness, they open further. Trust grows in layers, not leaps, and each safe response from you becomes another layer. You don't need to agree with someone to make them feel safe. You just need to respect their experience. You can disagree calmly. You can offer a different perspective gently. Safety isn't about pleasing others. It's about responding with presence instead of pressure. Consistency also creates safety. Don't be warm today and cold tomorrow. Don't be supportive in private and mocking in public. Don't encourage someone and then judge them when they're not around. People trust those whose energy doesn't shift unpredictably. When your presence remains steady, others learn they can rely on you emotionally. When someone makes a mistake and expects anger, but receives calm clarity, instead, everything changes. They stop bracing for attack. They become more honest. They stop hiding. Not because they're perfect, but because they finally feel safe enough to grow. Your presence becomes a place where people can breathe. It's not just what you say, it's what you don't say. You don't jump in with solutions immediately. You don't one-up their story with your own. You don't downplay what matters to them. You don't fill every silence because you're uncomfortable. Stillness communicates more than speed. Listening communicates more than speaking. Calmness communicates more than intense emotion. In relationships, friendships, leadership, family, this skill changes everything. People follow those who make them feel understood. They confide in those who don't judge. They stay loyal to those who don't weaponize their vulnerabilities later. If you want honesty from others, create a space where honesty doesn't feel dangerous. This doesn't mean tolerating disrespect. You can still set boundaries. You can still tell the truth. You can still be firm. The difference is that your firmness doesn't carry hostility. It carries clarity. You speak with intention, not reaction. You respond with maturity, not impulse. You separate the person from the problem. You communicate in a way that leaves dignity intact. Here are 3 simple principles that make people feel safe around you. 1. Stay calm. Your energy sets the tone. 2. Stay present. Your attention makes people feel valued. 3. Stay respectful. Your words create emotional space instead of emotional pressure. When you master these qualities, your presence becomes rare. People seek it. People remember it. People trust it. And you build relationships rooted in strength, not fear. So pay attention to how people feel after speaking to you. Do they relax, or do they shut down? Do they open up, or do they retreat? Do they feel safe, or do they feel small? Your influence isn't measured by how much you say. It's measured by how your presence makes others feel. Become the person who brings calm, not chaos. Understanding, not judgment. Safety, not tension. That is how you build trust. That is how you elevate conversations. That is how you lead with strength and heart. Chapter 10. Practice reading people every day without saying much. If you want to master the skill of reading people, you must practice every day, not just in important conversations, not just when something feels off, not just when you're curious. Every day. Real growth happens through consistency, not intensity. And the secret is this: you don't need to talk much to get better. In fact, speaking less makes you learn faster. People reveal who they are constantly, whether they realize it or not. In the way they walk, the way they sit, how they breathe, how they react to small inconveniences, how they treat others when no one is watching, how they speak when they're relaxed, and how they speak when they're tense. If you pay attention, you start to see patterns everywhere. When you walk into a room, you don't need to announce your presence. You don't need to start talking to understand the atmosphere. You can observe quietly. Who looks nervous? Who looks confident? Who's trying too hard? Who's avoiding eye contact? Who's scanning the room? Who looks grounded? All of this becomes obvious when you slow down enough to notice. Reading people isn't about memorizing psychological tricks. It's about presence. It's about being awake instead of distracted. Most people walk through life lost in their phones, lost in their thoughts, lost in stress. They're so absorbed in their own world that they become blind to the world around them. You can't read people from inside your mental noise. You can only read them when you're aware. Throughout your day, practice observing without judgment. Watch posture. Watch hands. Watch eyes. Watch how someone's energy shifts when another person enters the room. Watch how tone changes when a topic changes. Watch who interrupts others and who never interrupts. Watch who speaks with tension and who speaks with ease. None of this requires words from you, only attention. One of the best ways to sharpen this skill is to stop trying to impress people. When you're not trying to be liked or validated, your awareness opens. You stop performing. You stop thinking about what others think of you. You start noticing what's happening around you instead of what's happening inside your ego. When you observe without needing anything from people, they reveal themselves naturally. You don't have to ask deep questions. You don't have to push for answers. People show you exactly who they are when you give them enough silence, space, and presence. Pay attention to small reactions. When someone hears good news, do their eyes brighten or do they force a smile? When someone is challenged, do they stay open or shut down? When someone disagrees, do they stay respectful or get defensive? When someone is uncomfortable, do they fidget or go still? These micro-signals teach you more about a person's character than their words ever will. This kind of observation also helps in groups. Group dynamics reveal truths that one-on-one conversations hide. Who tries to dominate? Who defers to others? Who changes their personality depending on who's watching? Who is genuinely themselves regardless of the audience? Who withdraws? Who thrives? Who watches quietly from the background? These patterns show you hierarchy, insecurity, confidence, trust, and tension without anyone saying a word. You don't need to be obvious about observing. You don't need to stare. You don't need to look intense. Relax. Be natural. Just be present. People express themselves all the time through subtle body language and emotional cues. Your job is simply not to miss it. Over time, you begin to feel things before you can explain them. You sense when someone is irritated, even if they smile. You sense when someone is uncomfortable, even if their words are calm. You sense when someone is lying before the details reveal themselves. You sense when someone is genuine before anything else happens. That feeling isn't magic. It's accumulated awareness. It's the quiet intelligence that comes from watching people long enough to recognize patterns instantly. This skill protects you. It saves you time. It helps you avoid draining people before they drain you. It teaches you who deserves your energy and who doesn't. It helps you build relationships with people who are real, not just people who seem appealing on the surface. You become harder to fool, harder to manipulate, harder to surprise. Not because you're cold or untrusting, but because you're aware. You see what's happening before it becomes obvious. You feel shifts in energy before others notice them. And the more consistent you are, the sharper your perception becomes. Every setting becomes training. On the train, in a cafe, at work, with friends, with strangers, even during short interactions. Every person becomes a lesson in human behavior. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to observe. Quiet observation is one of the most powerful tools you will ever develop. And here's the best part. You don't need to change who you are. You don't need to become distant or mysterious. You simply need to practice awareness. A few minutes each day, a few conversations, a few observations. That's all it takes. Over time, your presence becomes different. People feel it. They sense that you see more than the average person. They sense that you listen deeper than others. They sense that you don't get lost in noise or distraction. Your presence alone becomes powerful. This is how you grow into someone who doesn't just hear people. You read them. Someone who doesn't just react. You respond. Someone who doesn't just exist. You understand. Practice every day, quietly, calmly, consistently. And soon, you'll walk into any room and see the truth with clarity. Chapter 11. Read energy, not just behavior. Most people try to understand others by analyzing their actions alone, what they say, what they do, how they move. But behavior is only the surface. If you want to read people with real precision, you must learn to sense their energy. Energy is the emotional atmosphere a person carries with them. It shows up before their words do, before their behavior does, before their expression changes. Every person walks into a room with an energetic signature. Some people bring warmth, some bring tension, some bring anxiety, some bring confidence, some bring chaos, some bring calm. You feel this instinctively, even if you've never learned to put it into words. Energy reveals truth faster than behavior. Behavior can be controlled. Energy cannot. Someone can act polite while carrying resentment. They can smile while holding jealousy. They can speak calmly while radiating insecurity. They can pretend to be confident while their energy feels shaky. Your body senses this long before your mind understands it. That slight tightening in your chest, the sudden discomfort, the unexpected sense of peace. These are all responses to someone's energy field. To read people accurately, pay attention to how your body reacts when you're around them. Not your thoughts, your bodily signals. Does your breath shorten? Do your shoulders tighten? Do you feel lighter, heavier, more grounded, more distracted? Your nervous system is a radar. It picks up what the conscious mind misses. Here's the key. Don't ignore these reactions. Don't argue with them. Don't rationalize them away. Your body is responding to the emotional truth, not the performed behavior. Spend time observing how energy shifts in different contexts. Watch what happens when someone enters a room. Does the atmosphere become more tense or more relaxed? Do people naturally open up or do they withdraw? Do conversations flow easily or does it feel forced? These shifts aren't imagination. They are reflections of the emotional presence of the person entering. Energy also reveals intentions. Someone may speak softly, but carry controlling energy. Someone may speak confidently, but carry insecure energy. Someone may act kind, but carry manipulative energy. Someone may act withdrawn, but carry genuine, steady energy. Your job is not to judge. Your job is to notice. Start paying attention to the subtle cues. How does someone's energy change when you confront them? Do they soften or tense? How does their energy shift when the topic touches something vulnerable? How do they respond energetically when someone else gets attention? How does the room feel when they are present? Heavy, light, pressured, vibrant. This level of awareness gives you access to truth without needing words. Energy also shows alignment or misalignment. When someone's words, tone, and posture all match their energy, you feel ease. Their presence feels real, consistent, congruent. But when their energy doesn't match their behavior, when their smile is forced, when their calm tone hides irritation, when their confidence masks insecurity, you feel the inconsistency immediately. Don't ignore that feeling. It's your guidance system. You can strengthen this skill by practicing stillness. When your mind is quiet, you sense more. When your emotions aren't rushing, you perceive more. When you aren't trying to impress anyone, you receive clearer signals. Presence sharpens intuition. Also notice how your energy affects others. When you walk into a room calm, grounded, and aware, people adjust to your frequency. They speak differently. They reveal more. They trust faster. Your energy becomes the stabilizing force in the interaction. This makes you a powerful communicator, not because you speak well, but because your presence itself becomes influence. One more thing. Energy rarely lies. Someone may hide their behavior for years, but their energy always leaks. Someone may speak perfectly, but their energy will betray their truth. Someone may pretend to be on your side, but their energy will feel off. Trust these signals. Honor them. Use them to set boundaries, to protect your peace, to choose your people wisely. The deeper you go into this skill, the more natural it becomes. Soon you won't need explanations. You won't need proof. You'll simply know, not in a mystical way, but in a deeply human way. Your intuition becomes sharper. Your perception becomes clearer. Your choices become wiser. Reading energy is not about being spiritual or mystical. It's about being deeply, fully, consciously aware of human truth. And when you learn to read energy as clearly as behavior, you will navigate conversations, relationships, and environments with a level of clarity that others feel the moment you walk in. Chapter 12. Notice the disconnect between someone's words and their alignment. If you want to understand people at a deeper level, you must stop taking every word at face value. Words are easy. Words are practiced. Words are polished. But alignment, the harmony between what someone says, what they do, and who they are, that's where the truth lives. Many people speak with confidence, but act with hesitation. Many people promise with enthusiasm, but deliver with inconsistency. Many people say they care, but behave with distance. Many people talk about integrity, but fold when it requires effort. You cannot read a person if you only listen to what they declare. You read them by watching the consistency or the inconsistency between their words, their actions, and their energy. This skill requires patience. You don't jump to conclusions. You observe over time. Alignment reveals itself slowly, but it always reveals itself. A person's patterns will tell you more than their statements ever will. Here's how to begin. 1. Compare what they say with what they choose. Someone may say they value honesty, but do they avoid hard conversations? Someone may say they value loyalty, but do they disappear when things get inconvenient? Someone may say they're committed, but do their actions show discipline or excuses? People reveal their truth through choices, not declarations. 2. Watch what they do when the spotlight is off. Anyone can behave well when others are watching, but someone's real nature is revealed in small private moments. How they treat the server, how they talk about others, how they act when they're tired, how they behave under pressure. These moments expose alignment, or the lack of it. 3. Pay attention to follow-through. Consistency is the real proof of intention. A person who says they'll show up and does it repeatedly is aligned. A person who makes excuses every time something matters is not. Patterns don't lie. 4. Look for emotional consistency. When someone says they're fine, but carries tension in their body, something isn't aligned. When someone says they want connection, but regularly avoids intimacy, the alignment is broken. When someone says they're confident, but constantly seeks validation, that confidence is only surface level. Your intuition will feel this mismatch. Don't ignore it. 5. Notice what disappears when pressure rises. People can pretend for a while, but pressure dissolves performance. In discomfort, the real person appears. Do they stay grounded, or do they shift into defensiveness? Do they communicate clearly, or do they retreat behind excuses? Do they stay respectful, or do they attack? Pressure reveals alignment faster than time. 6. Observe how they treat boundaries. Someone who respects your boundaries is aligned with care. Someone who repeatedly crosses them while claiming to care is aligned with themselves, not with you. When words and alignment don't match, always trust alignment. 7. Feel the emotional residue they leave. After spending time with this person, do you feel drained or grounded? Confused or clear? Respected or dismissed? Safe or on edge? Your emotional state after interactions is a direct reflection of their alignment. The more you train this skill, the easier it becomes to see contradictions. You'll begin noticing when someone's enthusiasm is real or forced, when someone's charm is sincere or strategic, when someone's apology is growth or manipulation. Don't fight these realizations. Don't sugarcoat them. Don't justify them. Awareness isn't judgment, it's clarity. Use alignment as your compass. When someone's words and actions match, trust grows naturally. When they don't, you don't need to argue with yourself. The truth is already visible. This is not about being cynical. It's about being conscious. It's about no longer letting people's words blind you to their patterns. It's about protecting your peace with wisdom, not fear. And most importantly, apply this awareness to yourself, too. Your own alignment determines the strength of your presence. When your words match your actions and your energy matches your intentions, you become someone others trust instantly. People follow aligned individuals because alignment is rare, powerful, and unmistakable. Train your eyes to see beyond words. Train your intuition to detect the quiet inconsistencies. Train your awareness to follow alignment, not noise. Once you do, relationships become clearer. Decisions become easier. Your life becomes more grounded. You stop living in confusion. You stop giving energy to contradictions. You stop believing promises that have no foundation. You begin to see people as they truly are, and you respond with clarity, strength, and calm wisdom. Chapter 13. Watch how people treat the quiet, the powerless, and the invisible. If you truly want to understand someone's character, stop watching how they act around people they want to impress, and start watching how they act around people who offer them nothing. Someone's real nature is revealed not in moments of performance, but in moments where there is no reward for kindness and no consequence for cruelty. Most people behave perfectly around those they admire, respect, or fear. They speak politely. They listen carefully. They put effort into appearing good. But that's not character. That's strategy. Real character is exposed when a person interacts with individuals who cannot benefit them. The quiet, the overlooked, the powerless, the ones society often ignores. If you want to read someone clearly, observe these three groups. 1. The quiet people who are quiet are often dismissed. Many don't speak much, so others feel no pressure to behave well around them. Watch how someone treats the quiet person in the room, the coworker who doesn't talk much, the friend who listens more than they speak, the person who isn't socially dominant. Do they ignore them? Do they interrupt them? Do they talk over them? Do they act bored when the quiet person speaks? Or do they treat them with the same attention and respect they give everyone else? A person who only respects loudness, beauty, or status is not someone you can trust deeply. Kindness that depends on who is watching is not kindness. It's a performance. 2. The powerless. These are the people someone believes they don't need to impress. Service workers, assistants, strangers, cleaners, waitstaff, drivers. Watch how someone interacts with those who serve them. Do they say thank you? Do they speak kindly? Do they show patience? Or do they become demanding, rude, dismissive, or arrogant? Power reveals the truth. Even the smallest amount of perceived power, like being a customer, can expose someone's ego. If someone becomes harsh the moment they feel superior, that harshness lives inside them all the time. It's just hidden when they're around people they fear losing. 3. The invisible. These are the individuals society often overlooks. The elderly, the shy, the ones standing alone at a gathering, the person who drops something in public, the person struggling quietly. Does the person you're observing pretend not to see them? Do they walk past someone who needs help? Do they avoid discomfort at all costs? Or do they offer support, even in small, subtle ways? Compassion toward the unseen speaks volumes. Indifference toward the unseen speaks even louder. If you want to know who someone truly is, don't listen to their self-description. Watch their interactions with those they don't need. Humans reveal their deepest values when no social reward is on the line. Also, watch their micro-behavior. Do they smile at someone who serves them? Do their eyes soften when someone is confused? Do they use a respectful tone with someone who can't defend themselves? Do they offer a helping hand without expecting praise? These small actions reveal a person's soul. Equally powerful is noticing who they ignore. Some people only show interest in those who validate them. Some only show kindness when they want something. Some only show respect when it benefits their image. A person who has selective humanity will have selective loyalty. A person who chooses kindness only when it's easy will choose selfishness when it's hard. This awareness saves you from disappointment. It teaches you who can sit at your table, who can be close to your life, and who must remain at a distance. And reflect this onto yourself as well. How do you treat the quiet, the powerless, the invisible? Your answer defines your integrity. Not your words, not your achievements, not your titles. The quietest moments reveal your truest self. When you live with alignment in these areas, your presence becomes stronger. People trust you without needing explanations. Your energy becomes steady, grounded, safe. You begin attracting others with the same level of integrity. You begin filtering out those who lack it. You begin building relationships rooted not in convenience, but in character. Because in the end, the person who is kind only when it's easy is not kind. The person who is respectful only to the powerful is not respectful. The person who is generous only when seen is not generous. True character is revealed in the unglamorous moments. True connection grows through quiet consistency. True wisdom comes from seeing what others overlook. Watch how people treat those who can do nothing for them. That is where truth lives. That is where clarity begins. That is where your understanding becomes unshakable. Chapter 14. Notice how people handle disagreement and discomfort. If you want to understand a person's maturity, emotional intelligence, and inner stability, watch how they navigate moments of tension, disagreement, discomfort, and challenge. Anyone can appear kind when everything is easy, but the real measure of someone's character is revealed when the situation becomes uncomfortable. Most people are not trained to stay grounded in moments of emotional friction. They either shut down, explode, deflect, or collapse into defensiveness. How someone handles discomfort tells you more about them than their confidence, their accomplishments, or their charm. This chapter teaches you what to look for, so you can read people clearly when truth, tension, or conflict enters the room. 1. Watch their first reaction. When someone is challenged, even lightly, their automatic reaction exposes their inner world. Do they become defensive immediately? Do they interrupt? Do they raise their voice? Do they laugh nervously? Do they shift blame? Do they change the subject? Do they withdraw into silence? These responses are unconscious. They show where someone feels insecure, threatened, or unprepared. People who lack emotional grounding cannot stay present under pressure. People who are grounded don't fear discomfort. They face it calmly. 2. Observe how they listen. During disagreement. Disagreement is not the problem. Inability to stay present during disagreement is. Do they let you finish your sentence? Do they listen with the intention to understand or only to respond? Do they twist your words? Do they stay curious, or do they shut down mentally? A person who can stay open while hearing something they don't like is someone who has practiced self-regulation. A person who collapses into emotion the moment they're challenged is someone ruled by their triggers. 3. Pay attention to whether they attack or explore. People with low self-awareness often respond to discomfort with aggression, even subtle aggression. They may use sarcasm, raise their tone, belittle your point, mock your perspective, exaggerate your words, use guilt as manipulation, shift blame onto you. These reactions reveal emotional immaturity, not strength. Mature people don't attack. They explore. They ask questions. They clarify. They stay grounded. They seek truth, not domination. 4. Notice their relationship with accountability. One of the strongest signs of character is how someone responds when they are wrong. Do they take responsibility or create excuses? Do they apologize sincerely or manipulate the apology? Do they reflect or deflect? If someone cannot acknowledge their mistakes, even small ones, they will never grow in relationships or within themselves. Accountability is a mark of emotional strength. Avoidance is a mark of inner fragility. 5. Observe how they regulate their emotions. Emotional regulation is a form of mastery. When someone feels discomfort, do they speak irrationally, get overwhelmed, become passive-aggressive, shut down emotionally, escalate tension rather than diffuse it? Or do they breathe before responding, stay aware of their tone, slow down the conversation, choose their words with intention, communicate with clarity and calm? People who can regulate themselves are safer to be around. They create stability instead of chaos. 6. See whether they seek resolution or victory. Some people enter disagreements wanting to win. Others enter wanting to understand. Those who seek victory talk over you, repeat themselves, try to overpower you, refuse to consider another angle. Those who seek resolution soften their tone, express curiosity, look for shared ground, aim for clarity, not control. How someone approaches conflict reveals their relational blueprint. 7. Study what happens after the disagreement. After the tension, do they hold grudges, punish you with distance, bring it up again later, pretend everything is fine but withdraw? Or do they return to normal naturally, maintain warmth, reflect on what happened, continue the relationship with respect? A person's emotional aftercare reveals how safe or unsafe they are in conflict. 8. Observe how they treat themselves in discomfort. This is just as important. Do they shame themselves? Do they spiral internally? Do they beat themselves up? Do they lose confidence easily? A person who attacks themselves during discomfort will eventually project that energy outward. Someone who can stay grounded inwardly will stay grounded outwardly. 9. And finally, observe yourself too. How you handle discomfort becomes your source of strength. Your presence teaches others how to treat you. Your calm reshapes the room. Your groundedness sets the tone. When you learn to read people in moments of discomfort, you see truth, not the polished behavior people present when everything is easy. Disagreement doesn't destroy relationships. Discomfort doesn't break connection. Immaturity does. Avoidance does. Defensiveness does. But awareness, your awareness, protects you. The more you master this skill, the more you'll know exactly who deserves your energy, who deserves your distance, and who deserves a place in your life. Chapter 15. Notice who people become when you set boundaries. If you want to understand someone's true intentions, pay close attention to how they react when you establish a boundary. A firm no, a limit, a refusal, a need, a standard. Boundaries don't change people. Boundaries reveal people. Most individuals act kind when you're agreeable, compliant, and easy to access. But the moment you introduce a limit, the moment you choose yourself, the moment you stop giving unlimited time, attention, or energy, their real behavior emerges. Boundaries are emotional X-rays. They show the truth behind the surface. 1. Watch who respects your no without pressure. A mature person doesn't take offense when you say no. They don't guilt you. They don't act wounded. They don't manipulate the moment. They simply say, I understand. Thanks for telling me. No problem. When someone accepts your boundary with calmness, they reveal emotional security. They show that they value you beyond what you can offer them. 2. Notice who tries to negotiate your limit. Not every violation is dramatic. Some are subtle. People may try to convince you, push just this one time, twist your words, make your boundary seem unreasonable, tell you you're too sensitive or too rigid. This isn't compromise. It's boundary erosion. Someone who challenges your limit is showing you they prioritize their comfort over your safety. 3. Observe who gets defensive or angry. If someone becomes irritated, offended, or cold simply because you set a boundary, that reaction is not about your boundary. It's about their entitlement. People who depend on your compliance will always take your boundaries personally. They interpret your self-protection as an attack because they were only connected to you for what they could take, not for who you are. Their anger is the confession. 4. See who disappears when you stop overgiving. Some people stay close only because you overextend yourself for them. When you stop overgiving, they vanish, they withdraw, they lose enthusiasm, they lose interest. It's not because you changed, it's because the dynamic changed. They can no longer feed off your energy. This is not a loss, it's a clarity. 5. Pay attention to who adjusts instead of arguing. The healthiest people don't debate your boundaries, they adapt to them. They may ask clarifying questions. They may want to understand. But their goal is harmony, not control. These people are safe. These people can stay in your life. These are the relationships that grow instead of drain. 6. Notice who shows care after you set a boundary. Some people become more respectful, more attentive, more understanding. When someone responds to your boundary with care, I want to make sure I don't cross that again. Thanks for telling me. I didn't realize. Let me know if you need anything from me. They're showing emotional maturity. They're showing integrity. They're showing alignment. Boundaries refine relationships. They don't ruin them. 7. Watch the energy shift. Words are one thing. Energy is another. After you set a boundary, does their presence feel tense, resentful, distant, pressured, manipulative, or does it feel stable, warm, respectful, accepting? Your body will feel the difference before your mind names it. Trust that. 8. See who tries to punish you. Immature individuals often show their displeasure through emotional tactics. Silent treatment, passive aggression, delayed responses, withholding affection, sarcastic comments, subtle guilt. These reactions expose their inability to maintain connection without control. A boundary didn't create their behavior. It revealed it. 9. Reflect on your own boundaries. And finally, watch yourself. Do you apologize for your boundaries? Do you feel guilty for protecting your peace? Do you second-guess your needs? Do you shrink to make others comfortable? Your reaction to your own boundaries shows how much self-respect you've built, or how much more you need to develop. When you strengthen your self-worth, others feel it. Your boundaries become calm, natural, non-negotiable, not aggressive, not fearful, not shaky. Boundaries do not break relationships. They refine them. The right people become closer. The wrong people fall away. The misaligned people reveal themselves. The mature people stand strong. Your job is not to keep everyone happy. Your job is to keep your energy aligned. The moment you start honoring your boundaries, you gain clarity. Who is for you? Who is with you? And who was only there as long as you were easy to access? Learn to watch these reactions without fear. This is how you protect your peace. This is how you strengthen your presence. This is how you choose people who choose you back, with respect, awareness, and emotional maturity. Conclusion. See people clearly, respond wisely, rise quietly. There comes a point in your life when you stop moving blindly through conversations, relationships, and environments. A moment when you realize that most misunderstandings, disappointments, and emotional wounds didn't come from fate. They came from not seeing people clearly. They came from ignoring signals, dismissing intuition, trusting words over alignment, and reacting instead of observing. This journey, learning to read people and respond like a pro, is not about becoming suspicious or controlling. It's about awakening your awareness so you can move through the world with clarity instead of confusion, discernment instead of assumption, strength instead of emotional noise. Reading people is not a trick. It's not manipulation. It's not a game. It is a form of presence, a form of emotional intelligence, a form of inner mastery. When you truly see people, their patterns, their energy, their reactions, their inconsistencies, their discomfort, their alignment, you stop being surprised by their behavior. You stop personalizing things that were never about you. You stop giving your energy to the wrong people. You stop repeating painful lessons. You begin responding with intention, not impulse. In this audiobook, you learned how to read body language, tone changes, eyes, avoidance, discomfort, lies, energy shifts, reactions to boundaries, and emotional inconsistencies. You learned how presence sharpens intuition, how calmness strengthens perception, how silence reveals truth, and how awareness becomes its own form of power. But the deepest lesson is this: when you see clearly, you live wisely. Because clarity changes everything. Clarity helps you choose the right people. Clarity helps you protect your peace. Clarity helps you avoid manipulation. Clarity helps you build stronger relationships. Clarity helps you stay grounded during conflict. Clarity helps you communicate with precision. Clarity helps you know when to stay and when to walk away. The world becomes quieter when you stop misreading people. Your inner world becomes stronger when you stop overreacting. Your decisions become cleaner when you follow alignment instead of emotion. Reading people is not about decoding everyone else. It's about refining yourself. It's about becoming someone who listens deeply, responds calmly, observes without judgment, chooses intentionally, sees what others overlook. It's about building a level of self-awareness that anchors you, no matter who enters your life or what situation you face. When you master presence, you stop carrying the burden of confusion. When you master calmness, you stop losing energy to chaos. When you master listening, you stop missing truth hidden in silence. When you master boundaries, you stop attracting emotional drain. When you master reading people, you begin mastering yourself. And the more you refine these skills, the more influential your presence becomes. Not through loudness or force, but through clarity, stability, and quiet confidence. You become the person others feel grounded around. You become the person people trust without knowing why. You become the person who sees through noise and responds with wisdom. You become the person who leads without demanding authority. You rise quietly, not by talking more, but by seeing more. Not by dominating, but by understanding. Not by reacting, but by choosing your response with intention. And in a world full of noise, that level of awareness makes you rare. It makes you powerful. It makes you unshakable. Carry these skills into your daily life. Practice them consistently. Let them shape the way you see, listen, and respond. Because when you learn to read people clearly, you do not just improve your conversations. You elevate your entire life. This is how you grow. This is how you protect your peace. This is how you lead with strength. This is how you rise with clarity.